This is a video I don't even really want to make that much, but I feel like I really just need to. That's why I've pushed it back for so long. So right here, I'm just laying down the facts, and I'm going to expose and explain all of the bullshit that goes on with Pokemon Go. And believe me, there's a lot of it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the algorithm in Pokemon Go. Now, I know a lot of people already have their biased opinions and whatever about it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put up a timestamp right now. That is for the next part of the video after this. So I would just start with the very basic, like if you don't know anything about what the algorithm is or anything at all, context info. So just as loosely as possible, the algorithm is pretty much getting matched with Pokemon and their moves that counter yours or that you counter. But basically this system is guaranteed to keep you at a 51 to 55% win rate. So just say as an example, say you got Melmetal, and for the ones that you play, like the first one, you just get straight hard countered by Reshiram. And then you play another set, and you get stuff that you counter really easily, like Togekiss. And then the set after that, you go 3 and 2. So basically, once shit like that happens a bunch, that's how you get the 51 to 55% win rate that it's designed to keep you at. So yeah, it pretty much just does that. It differs in variety, like no matter what lead you have, it does the same thing. And the sets could differ too, like you could go 5 for 5 free sets and then go 0 for 5 for the free sets after that, and then have some like 3 and 2 sets after that. But point is, it's designed to keep you at this 51 to 55% win rate. So now that you have a basic understanding of what the algorithm is, or at least I hope you do. Anyway, now I'm going to tell you why it is most likely real. So the first question that most people have is, why would the algorithm be real? And it's pretty simple. It's just to keep you playing. And if you think, how does that encourage people to keep playing, like getting a 51 to 55% win rate? Well, this is how. So the main purpose of Pokemon Go GBL Ranked is to hit Legend, alright? And making it take longer for people to hit Legend means that those people that care about their rank are going to keep on playing to try to hit Legend. Keeping you at a 51 to 55% win rate is exactly how they make it take longer. And if you're still thinking, well, why do they do this? What is the point of making it take longer to hit Legend? Because that doesn't make it Niantic anybody. Well, it could go for trying to hit any rank in general, whether it's expert, ace, veteran. But the point is, they do this stuff because it keeps you playing the actual game and doing stuff that makes them money, like going out and exploring and gathering data, and going out and doing raids and spending money on raid passes. And I really just don't understand how it's this hard for people to see this for what it is. Like, it really shouldn't be. Because some people argue with this, oh, why would they, like, make you take an hour and a half out of your day to play your Go Battle League sets, whatever you could be using that time to go out and explore and gather data and whatever. And the reason for that is because Niantic gains a lot more from your long-term interest in the game than just that hour and a half a day that you're focused on playing Go Battle League sets. And a lot of people don't realize that Niantic is not a gaming company. They're an AR technology company. This means that Niantic's main focus is not to maintain a game, not even to make money, but it's to gather and improve their data. Niantic does this at the expense of their games and everybody who plays their games. It just so happens that, Pokemon fans got caught in that mix. But yeah, Niantic puts improving their data and AR technology over literally everything, even money, and if you don't believe that, then why did they make the remote raid pass nerf, huh? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because remote raid passes were interfering with Niantic's data priorities. Because you just have all these people sitting inside and doing remote raid passes and not going out exploring and gathering data. And even though that was making Niantic a lot of money, it was one of their highest grossing things in the game. They didn't care because it was affecting their data collection too much, and that's why they nerfed it. Everybody that plays this game is viewed by Niantic as another little ant in their farm, not as anything more than that. And you know what would aid Niantic in their data gathering at the expense of their money? An algorithm in Go Battle League that is designed to keep people playing. So now back to why the algorithm is real. Let's talk about win rate. So the reason that the algorithm keeps you at specifically a 51 to 55% win rate is because this is how Niantic can keep you playing the longest while also making it possible to hit Legend. I hear a lot of people say that it is meant to keep you at exactly a 50% win rate, but that is a misconception. It's meant to keep you slightly above the 50% win rate. As someone with a decent bit of experience, I'll go ahead and show you my win rate. So here's my record from last season. I had 711 battles, 375 wins, which equals about a 53% win rate. I ended in the ELO dumpster that season, but you know what, whatever. And here is my overall record, which is 6,078 battles and 3,145 wins, which is about a 52% win rate. In which, that perfectly falls into the lines of 51 to 55. And now the question is, how do people have a win percentage higher than a 51 to 55%? Because in the Legend rank, there's a good bit of people that do have a win rate higher than that. This is typically the argument that breaks people's reasoning as to why the algorithm is real. But if you use a bit of knowledge and common sense, you can get around it and pretty easily explain it. So for this, I'm going to be using Faux Technical as an example. So here's Faux Technical's win rate as he went into a 320 match Legend push. So he went 225 for 320. That is a win rate of 70%. So how did he get it this high? This has to do with the early ranks in GBL. So in the early ranks of GBL, once you wait about like 10 days, give or take, that is about how much time it takes for all of the people that actually know what they're doing to clear out of the low ranks. And this has an interesting effect on the algorithm. Because there's not people that know what they're doing and have organized teams that are set up to counter other teams properly, the algorithm in the low ranks doesn't really know what to do. Whenever there's all these low rank players that have bad teams that can't really counter anything, the algorithm isn't as effective at doing its job as it is in the high ranks. So now I'm going to show you my win rate from this season. And keep in mind, I started playing this season 20 to 30 days after it started. So here's my win rate for the current season, 39 for 55, which is a 71% win rate. So yeah, with that experiment, we pretty much have as much evidence as we need to say that the algorithm is less effective in low ranks. So what does this mean, So pretty much it means that you can manipulate your win rate to a slight extent, but you cannot manipulate the algorithm. No matter how much bullshit-ass clickbait shit you see, there is no manipulating the algorithm, period. And much emphasis on slightly manipulate your win rate because you can only do this until you hit Division 20. Once you hit Division 20, it will be impossible to manipulate your win rate like this. So back to Faux Technical, how does this relate to him? Well, I'll tell you pretty much how he hit Legend in only 320 games. So through the early ranks, he just absolutely destroyed those, obviously. And once he passed to Division 19, he skyrocketed into ELO because he has already been to Legend and whatnot in like the season before that, so he gets bumped up really high. Then his win rate starts to go down some more than likely because now the algorithm is actually taking effect. But since he's so high ELO already, he only has to play like a little bit of games, not nearly as much as a new account would. And by new account, I just mean new to ranked, but yeah, you could probably get your win rate to as high as probably slightly above an 80 during the lower eggs. And yes, Photechnical waited until all of the high ranking people and people that know what they're doing cleared out before he started playing. Which that's how his win rate ended up so high. So yeah, probably came down a little bit once he started to have the algorithm take effect on him, but you know, he didn't have to play very many games with the algorithm in effect to be able to make it to legend. So that's how you end up with a 70% win rate. And that's how all these other legends end up with a win rate above the 51 55. Before I move on from this, I want to add that some people have even speculated that the algorithm implements like AI bots as players. But through this experiment, we can pretty much see that that is not true. If these AI bots did exist in Go Battle League, then the algorithm would be just as effective in the low ranks as it is in the higher ones. But you know, the algorithm is not very effective in low ranks, so yeah, AI bots are not in GBL. There might be some third party site that is scripted some shit to just sit there or something, but yeah, Niantic has definitely not implemented AI bots. So the last thing I want to touch on pertaining to win rate is the only even somewhat meaningful study ever done on it. Everything about it and the data and stuff can be found on this Reddit thread. It is not hard to find this thread. I don't even use Reddit, and I just Googled it, and I found it, so... Yeah, if you want to look at it, go ahead, but just be warned, you know, there's a lot of brain-dead idiots in the comment thread under it. So here's the only graph out of the whole bunch on this thread that is even somewhat meaningful. The rest of the thread is data that really just does not matter very much. And the thing is, with the graph I just showed, there is one very big problem. That problem is that it doesn't go low enough on the ELO chart. Like, it needs to be effective at what it's meant to do. It needs to go down to, like, the 1800s or 1700s range. Or maybe even extreme as the 1000 range in ELO. While it is interesting that this graph displays skill walls at certain ELO, it doesn't do what it was designed to do, and that is to prove or disprove an algorithm, being a Go Battle League. Even if we had the prior ELO range on that graph, that would be some helpful data, but it still would not prove or disprove the algorithm, like without a shadow of a doubt. And also, graph tracking win rate instead of ELO would have done a lot better job of proving or disproving the algorithm. There hasn't been any data gathered at all about the low ranks after the people with experience have made it out of those ranks, so if you want some meaningful data, that's where you should look. So on to the last major argument that people have for why the algorithm is not real is, oh, Niantic isn't capable of deciding some 8,000 IQ algorithm. They don't even know how to fix their own game. Sorry to burst your bubble, but they certainly do. Niantic is a company with over $10 billion, so they know what they're doing, period. And if you really need some evidence for that, well then look at the kinds of bugs that they fix. And also the speed at which they fix them. So just as an example, remember a few months back, whatever, I think it was about 3 months. So yeah, like about 3 months back, whatever the routes first came out, and there was that glitch where you could like spoof and shit and go from one end of the route back to the other, and it would get like within a span of 5 hours you would have enough candy and rare excel candy to level 50 like any legendary, like whatever one you chose to walk your buddy as. Well yeah, that got smacked out in like a few days by Niantic. And then you have shit like the Discord hack that lets you see the opponent's team and what moves their Pokemon has before the match even starts. But the thing is, this still has not been patched by Niantic, and you can even still do it today. So the point of that example is to show that Niantic only fixes the shit that directly affects them. So with the route glitch, that directly hinders data gathering, and Niantic hates that a lot. And it affected it pretty significantly too, so yeah, that's why that got struck down by Niantic so fast. And for the Discord hack, the reason that isn't fixed yet is because it's easier for Niantic to just try and sweep that under the rug rather than actually fix it. If Niantic fixes it, it's going to make them look bad. It's going to shut down GPL for a period because that's gonna have to happen in order for them to fix it. And it's also gonna cost them some resources. And yeah, they just don't wanna fuck with that. They'd rather just leave it be because the cons outweigh the pros for them in that situation. But just let it be known, Niantic is more than capable of fixing the Discord hack if they wanted to. They just don't. So now I'm going to talk about the last subtopic of the algorithm. And that is, what really is the algorithm? And there is actually a name for what the algorithm is. It's called EOMM. And that stands for Engagement Optimized Matchmaking. And the thing is, I really don't know how no one hardly has realized this. I've heard people mention it. But people just use the same excuses of, oh, the EOMM and SBMM and COD is not real. And I'm going to start from here on out making the comparison to COD a pretty good bit. Because Pokemon Go right now is in a really similar situation to COD with its matchmaking. If you're not too familiar with the whole EOMM, SBMM, like, controversy and how it's been exposed lately, then you're kind of in the dark here a little bit. It would take too long for me to explain right here, but you can watch this video that's on screen right now. It's made by a person that was also in the dark about this for a while and they just figured out. You can find that pretty easily just by searching it up on YouTube, but if you watch it, you're just gonna get a quick rundown of what like the whole controversy is, and also what EOMM is. It's a pretty good video, short and straight to the point. So anyway, Go Battle League's algorithm is EOMM. That is, if it exists. The only reason why it's a question whether it exists or not is because there is no hard evidence. Now with COD, there is hard evidence. There's the patents showed in the video I just talked about. I'll show you guys those patents here in a second. But yeah, long story short, EOMM is real in COD, and that means it's probably real in this game too. If you were to ask me what the actual percentage chances are that the algorithm is real in Pokemon Go, I would say it's a 95. Because these patents that COD has relating to their EOMM are very damning, and they also show that an algorithm like this is indeed possible to make. And because Niantic has over $10 billion, they can, and most likely did, make an algorithm. They still haven't, 100% confirmed COD's EOMM to be real, but just, them having those patents pretty much does, expose them. Just knowing that Activision has thought about doing something like that is pretty damning. Because that confirms that it probably has been real at some point, whilst when they go out of their way to make patents to solidify their system. So anyway, all of this shows that an EOMM system is more than possible, and it has even been implemented in some cases. So Niantic can do that too. Niantic could make their own patents, they could even do some under-the-table shit, but point is, Niantic could have a very similar system to that of COD. And here I'm going to show you the most interesting part about those patents, which is this one that shows that the matchmaking can indeed impose lag on your end, which people have speculated if that's real in Pokemon Go for a long time. And, now that's confirmed that it can exist. And if you want to see more in-depth shit about the patents, then you can just watch the video that's on screen. It's a really good video, but yeah, on the first minute is all you really need to see what the patents main highlights are, a little bit more for a minute, but yeah. So in summary of the algorithm being real and shit, it is most likely real. It's real in COD, so it's probably real in Pokemon Go too. And just if you want to know, my highest rating ever in Pokemon Go is 2460. I haven't taken it super seriously, and I just haven't been playing my sets and shit. And in that season, I played about 1100 battles and got it to that high, so if I would have played all of my battles that season, then I could have probably made it to Legend, but Yeah, it's whatever. I really don't care that much because this game is just algorithmic bullshit anyway. So ranked is a complete joke in this game, and a lot of people in the Pokemon Go community have a very hard time realizing that, and it's because of the content creators in the space. The content creators in the space have a lot bigger impact than you might think, because most of the people that avidly play Pokemon Go and try to get better at GBL watch these content creators and shit. So here's where the comparisons start coming out again, because with the content creation space, Pokemon Go is in a fairly similar place to COD, except, Pokemon Go doesn't get nearly as many views as COD stuff does, but that's besides the point, and not about the point I'm trying to make. But I'll talk about the point I'm trying to make with that here soon. And so first, I'm going to be talking about PokeAK and why he's the only content creator in the Pokemon Go space that you should respect. And I can already envision some people in the back of my head just rolling their eyes at what I just said, but you need to listen to me here, okay? I've heard people compare PokeAK to people like Verlisify, but they really shouldn't. Listen, Verlisify is a pathetic little bitch that drags people down to drag himself up. PokeAK does not do that. I do have somebody in mind, however, that would make a lot better comparison and a lot more accurate, and that is Blame Truth. Blame Truth does just about the same things that PokeAK does. So this is where the COD comparisons come back in, and also my main point with this. Let me just tell you, if Blame Truth is a good dude, he be exposing shit that needs to be brought to light. And he also just talks straight up with no fakeness, just all real. So yeah, PokeAK is pretty much the same as Blame Truth is, but PokeAK obviously just makes videos about Pokemon Go. And he gets involved with drama and shit a little more than Blame Truth. And the whole situation surrounding Pokemon Go's controversy is a lot more serious and less lighthearted than what it is in COD. And I even feel pretty bad for both of them because I feel like they're both like anchored down by the game if they make content on. Like, it's their decision to do that, but I feel like they could just make a lot better content and stuff if they would just pander away from their game a little. Like, I'm not trying to dick ride the shit out of these two, trust me. Like, both of them have some pretty boring content, and PokeAK specifically does some stuff that I ain't too fond of. Most specifically, blocking comments on videos and stuff. Because even though a lot of the comments he blocks are people's really stupid opinions, I think you should just let them have their stupid opinions. I mean, a lot more of the shit that PokeAK says would be taken to merit and not be clowned on by the shitty part of this community. If it wasn't for the fact that he blocked those comments being blocked just makes him look so much worse. But anyway, both of them certainly can make good content. Here's just an example from PokeAK. That storytime video was probably one of his most enjoyable ones to actually watch, and then, the algorithm one, he just continued saying the same shit, like, a lot, so. Nothing that he hasn't said before, so yeah, that's why that one is, ironically, one of his bad videos. And the same could be said for Blame Truth, because this video on the screen right now is a pretty good video. That doesn't even focus on COD. So basically, if Blame Truth strayed away from COD, he could make a lot better content, and if PokeAK strayed away from Pokemon Go, he could make better content too. Don't even have to quit playing either of those games, just stray away from them a little bit. Play some other shit, upload that. Now that you got some of the context, on to what really matters out of this. And that is that, why do people hate PokeAK? If Blame Truth is, so well respected and, just supported in his comment section and in the community in general, then why isn't PokeAK? Well, it is because of all of the other content creators in the space. Most specifically, the ones that play Go Battle League. And there's a lot of these content creators that cause this problem. Why don't I show you by taking a quick look for YouTube? So let's see here. Yeah, you have Junkus. He's a big part of the problem. Rise to the occasion. Definitely not helping it. Dan Ottawa, yeah, that's definitely doing a number for the problem. Ziotics, or Ziotic. He is cool with PokeAK, but not cool with me. Ziotic is a bitch. He a complete dick to the community. Or well, members of it. It's really most of the same people at this point. There's Brandon Tan. I mean, he doesn't really focus on PvP and his content's boring as shit. Most of the people that, like, add fuel to this fire get such a low view count that they ain't even on here. And sadly, because some of them have such low sub counts and view counts, hating on PokeAK literally gets them views. But yeah, the reason all this bullshit even got started, from what I know, is because PokeAK is the biggest advocate for the algorithm being real. And a lot of content creators in the space are little smug bastards that think they have actual skill in the game, that they are better than other people, literally just because of their skill at the game. And when I say that they think they're better than everybody else because of their skill in the game, I don't mean in the game. I mean, they think they're better than everybody in real life because of their skill in this fake ass game. Which is just the absolute saddest shit I've ever heard, I gotta say. And the reason that they're like that is because this is like literally the only thing that they got going on in their lives is this game. And that instills the smugness in them that they just have to be fucking assholes to literally everybody else. And why do they do that? It's just basic psychology. It's because they're losers and they don't got shit going on. And that's just how they act as a result of their life being shitty because of that. Whenever your life sucks, you just want to take it out on other people. And that's exactly what these content creators do. They're literally like stereotypical bullies. Except for not what you think of stereotypically. They're just a bunch of little losing ass pussies that sit on their couch all day and don't do jack shit and think they're something special. And the reason I say that they don't have any skill, and this is a topic I'll touch on more later, but the reason I say that is because this game has an extraordinarily low skill ceiling, and it needs to be heightened. And these fucking pussies are scared of that change coming. And that's why they advocate that the algorithm isn't real and they actually have skill in this game, even though they know damn well that they don't and they don't do jack shit. Because once the skill gap actually gets heightened, all these fucking quote figures content creators aren't gonna have anything, and that's what they're scared of. And right now, sadly, their efforts are succeeding because right now I have no clue if the skill ceiling will ever be heightened in this game. And right now it's looking like it probably won't. And the skill level these people are at, like, if you played for 2 seasons, like doing all your sets every day, and also actively learning about how to get better at the game and stuff, I bet you could definitely be better than some of these quote figures content creators. Because they're really not that good, because it is not hard to get good at this game. So yeah, these people pretty much do this because PokeAK is the only person that friends their fucking Virgin Mafia. And that they're scared of change. They're scared of Niantic looking past them and heightening the skill ceiling and making this game actually hard. And they do not want that whatsoever because they know that they are nothing. They don't have anything. Their content creation is gonna be nothing once that happens. Basically, anything that they hope for is gonna come crashing down unless they're somehow actually good with a new raised skill ceiling, which for some of them, it could maybe happen, but most of them, I can guarantee you that they're not going to be good once that happens. Like, at all. So anyway, all of that shit is just the first reason why people are just biased to hate on PokeAK. The second one being content creators that literally want a sponsorship from Niantic and dick ride Niantic to try and get that sponsorship. God, pardon me, sponsorship. So yeah, if you're a content creator and you hate PokeAK, it's because of one of two reasons. It's that you're either dick riding Niantic to try to get a sponsorship, and that just so happens to be try to shit on PokeAK because he tries to make an Niantic change, and he tries to prove that the algorithm is real. Or number two, and that being that you don't want change and you don't want the skill ceiling to be heightened, and you don't want to fade out of existence of the public's eye. And if you're just any member of the Pokemon Go community and you hate Pokémon, that is also for one of two reasons, but very different ones. That's either that you got onto the space and you saw Pokémon as a jerk and whatever because of some of the stuff that he says in his videos and what all these other content creators have told you and stuff. And and the other reason is that you're just fucking stupid. Because a lot of these little snowflakes and shit don't want their feelings hurt. But sometimes you gotta hurt some people's feelings to be fucking real. And I don't even know how any of these content creators get people on their side in the first place because all of them are extremely boring. Their content is terrible. And Pokémon is like the only person in the whole entire Pokemon Go space that can make any decent content that can actually entertain you, give you something to think of, just anything valuable. In which you could argue for this that they're good for like actually learning about the game and learning how to get good at the game. The thing is, I would rather just do research on PvPoke and scroll through that shit myself rather than having one of these boring ass well bum ass bitches in my ear telling me shit that I can easily figure out myself. And by doing that, I'm supporting them and then supporting Niantic's terrible decisions and not raising the skill ceiling or making any changes to Go Battle League. And I do not want Niantic or any of those creators to have any support, so that's why I do not do that at all. And I heavily encourage that you don't do it either. Because the less support that their channels get, the better. And so the only question left is, why did Pokémon being the bad guy and these bullshit-ass content creators being the good guys end up becoming the generally accepted opinion? And honestly, that is the hardest question I've been faced with this whole video, because I don't really know how that became the generally accepted opinion. It's either people just look at Pokémon as a jerk because of how he says shit, or really I'm just at a loss of words for how this came to be the generally accepted opinion because it's so fucking stupid. The saddest thing a lot of these people say, like on fucking comment threads and shit, is because y'all only make up the algorithm excuse because you're bad. And the funny thing is, because these motherfuckers only deny the algorithm's existence because they know that once the skill ceiling gets raised, that they will be the ones that are bad and losing all the time. And they won't be anything special or fucking good at the game. All those mental gymnastics they do to make them think that they're something is just gonna be gone. And once that happens, it's just gonna implode. So how does the game look as we stand? How has it been affected by all of this bullshit? Well, I'll tell you that the actual core gameplay in and of itself isn't that bad. Like, it's a lot better than it used to be back in 2016, 2017, obviously. Because now we have raids and stuff. Now GBL exists, even though it's fucking terrible. And we have trades, research, all this other stuff. Even though I think a GTS would be a great addition to Pokemon Go, but they're probably also not going to do that because it interferes with data collecting. And out of the core gameplay, there's still a lot of value to be had there. Like, that is still pretty fun, especially events like Go Fest and shit. That's really the only time I still have fun actually playing this game. And as for GBL, it is absolutely terrible. You should never play GBL. I mean, as serious as I can. I mean, the game is not fun whatsoever. I haven't been doing my sets hardly at all because the game sucks. It's fucking dog shit. If you think COD is not fun, then if you play Pokemon Go, you have got another thing coming because it is so unfun and just terrible that I can't even see straight at this point. And about the low skill ceiling this game has, if you don't know why that is, it's because there's not very much you can do with this game. Like, there's team building, yeah, that gets countered by the algorithm in high ranks. And there's not very many things you can actually do to change an outcome of a match. For instance, like you can only pick between two different charge moves. You can switch, you can shield, no shield, but compared to main series Pokemon, that's like barely anything. And so I'll touch on ways of how to fix this later, but first let's play a little game. So this game is pretty much just going to be debunking a quote figures content creators video on why the algorithm doesn't exist. So Dan Ottawa Pogo is the content creator's video that we're going to be looking at. We talked about him a little bit earlier, but now we're going to really show why he's such a dumb piece of shit.
Coming at you with I think it's a fun video, but I think it's...
Yeah, well, I'm about to make you wish you hadn't made it. So the first thing he does in this, for some reason, 22-minute long video is explain what the algorithm is. And yeah, we already explained that in a lot better detail than what dumbass Dan did. So the next thing he does is explain his own GBL stats and show them off. So here's Dan's stats. So this is Dan's overall stats, and what you look at that is a 52% win rate. And here is his stats for the last season and the current season. So last season he had a 52% win rate, and what a surprise that is. And this season he has a 56% win rate, but that is only because he's still coming off of that early rank boost. And so his win rate is naturally higher than it should be. And he also attempts to make excuses like I was throwing for other legends and I was making some throwaway teams to do whatever with. And because of that, he claims that he should be a 53 or a 54% with his overall win rate, not a 52, and that is just complete bullshit because there is no way that, like the games you do that shit, would affect it a whole percentage or two. He then tries to counter the point that imposing an algorithm would not be financially beneficial to Niantic. I'm not going to show that argument here because it takes, really all of his arguments take way longer than they should. But if you really want to see it or listen to it, you can just look up Dan Ottawa algorithm on YouTube and it'll be there. But I advise you don't watch it because his voice is extremely zesty and annoying to listen to. Anyway, back to Dan. His argument is really weak and just has absolutely no merit whatsoever. Because as I've already said, a algorithm would be financially beneficial to Niantic because it keeps people going out and shit and gathering data. And the data is all Niantic cares about because that is their primary moneymaker above remote raids. That's why they nerf those. Above everything, data is their primary moneymaker. Pokemon Go is just a tool they use to gather that data, sadly. But GBL optimizes player engagement. That's why it is literally EOMM. And GBL keeps people going out and gathering data because they know that there is a large demographic that cares about Go Battle League. Just basic market research can't answer that. And Dan here even claims that he has an economic master's. So he should definitely know that unless he's lying about having the economic master's. Or he's just lying out of his ass to try and cover his point. Or he just lacks that much common sense smarts to put that together. So that brings us to our next point. So here we are met with yet another damn near meaningless graph. So there isn't much to say about this thing. And also it's really hard to tell how legitimate the data is that it displays. But I'll tell you the ridiculous thing about this graph. So if we look over here to the farthest deviation level in between 2 and 3, we see that in 2.15% of matches, you get hard countered so bad that you cannot win no matter what. And I just gotta say, this brings us back to the skill ceiling problem because that should not be fucking possible. Like, you should not be put in a match guaranteed to lose. That is straight bullshit. It should not exist. Like, a ranked game that throws you into matches that you are guaranteed to lose is a fucking joke.
This is why they 100% need to add a higher skill ceiling into this game. And once again, it's hard to tell whether this data is legitimate or not. And if it's not legitimate, then I can guarantee you that that number, 2.15, is definitely higher, certainly not lower. And the fucked thing is that that number should not exist. So on to the next point, is just talking about the graphs some more, so we're just skipping past that. I mean, there's really just nothing of value to take out of that. And so that brings us to his next point, which is about confirmation bias. So yeah, he tries to say how it's in psychology pretty much, and that we believe in these things, like the algorithm, to try and not put ourselves down, but that's pretty much just a summary of it. But anyway, Dan doesn't have much of an understanding of psychology, so he's not really suitable to explain this. So I mean, he doesn't even make much of a point here. So that brings us to his next point about Pokédex's Legend Run. And once again, this is just meaningless filler content because he tries to say that Pokédex, he said, I can obviously tell that my issue is a skill issue and not an issue about the algorithm affecting my gameplay. But guess fucking what, Dan? That doesn't matter because Pokédex has no experience with the game, as you just fucking said. He then goes to say that after some coaching with Panic, we're about to have a field day with his ass, but yeah, he says after Pokédex, he gets coached by Panic. After like 1 or 2 years, he improves significantly at the game. But guess what? This also doesn't fucking matter. And why is that? It's because all of the stuff Pokédex you learned from Panic can easily be learned by yourself. He then says that his channel is a teaching channel to help people hit legend, but I'm gonna tell you what it really is. It's a scam that should not have a single subscriber. And there's not a single thing that Dan can tell you that your own research on PvPoke and also Playtime can't. And oh shit, what's that?
Legend. I've hit Legend 14 straight times. I am not even that good.
Did you all fucking hear that? He's not even that good. Pop up in your champagne because it's New Year's, and also his dumbass just admitted he ain't even that good at Go Battle League. And if you don't believe me, it's right at the 15-minute and 31-second mark. And if you ain't that good at the game right now, then that is a problem. I mean, God bless you, because you have some very bad problems. And considering that Dan even said it himself, that he is not very good at Go Battling, then you should not take any of his advice or how he says he should play the game. So after he says that, he goes on to say that there's two things stopping you from ranking up. And the first one is about quality of Pokemon, which I will admit that is true. Quality of Pokemon is a big determining factor of how you can progress through the ranks, because if you have shitty Pokemon, then, you know, your team is shit and you're shit. Quality of Pokemon is the exact reason why the low ranks are so bad and why the algorithm doesn't take effect very much in those ranks. But the second thing he says is basically that the other reason is a skill issue, and this is where he's incorrect because it's more of time. Because those skills develop as a result of time. And those skills don't matter very much because the skill ceiling is very low. What matters more is the amount of time that you put into the game, the amount of time that you're grinding. Basically, the amount of time that you play the game is pretty much everything here. And so we're left with his final thoughts / his opinion as the last part. And what this is pretty much just a big fuck you to everybody who believes in the algorithm. He also exits with some really condescending shit that he says. That's pretty much a come at me, but the thing is, I don't know why he would want that, because he's too big of a pussy to defend himself. So why does Dan think his way, and why did he make his dog shit video? Well, we're left with 3 reasons. Number 1, he's sponsored by Niantic. 2, Dan is dick riding the shit out of Niantic in attempt to get a sponsorship. And then 3, which is Dan is really that stupid. And I'm gonna say the most likely one of these three options to be true is number three because Dan says in his final thoughts that he doesn't know, or sorry, he doesn't think that Niantic would be capable of making such an algorithm, which, as we said already, is very much so possible. So, yeah, not only does he diss on Niantic a little bit, which would hurt his chances of getting a sponsorship, but also we've proven that that claim is stupid. So yeah, Dan is probably just that stupid. The last point I want to touch on is about the coaches, because that is also just a complete scam. It's even a little bit more fucked up than that. So anyway, so on screen right now is two of the primary examples for this. One of them being the aforementioned Panic. And these people literally charge money to have them coach you, and that is a complete scam. You are getting nothing out of that. Once again, there is nothing that PV Poke research and also your own playtime can tell you that Panic's dumbass can. Only thing is, as is panicking about is the skill ceiling being raised and that he's out of a coaching job. And some of these people even go so far as to make fun of the people that they coach, and that is just so fucking disgusting, dude. Acting like they're just completely inferior to you whenever you're just nothing more than them is just sick. Paying for someone to coach you in Pokemon Go is pretty much the same as paying for one of those fucking financial gurus. And that is the topic that I really needed to touch on, because that is legitimately losing people money. It really is just sad, because the people that think they're like fans of these coaches really they ain't none but their victims. And the effect this game has just had on people and shit is also just really terrible, because some of the people in local communities even will do just absolutely terrible shit that they shouldn't. And the people that act like pricks because their life sucks, I can assure you that they act the exact same in real life, because I've literally encountered it. And hell, here's even a screenshot of my local campfire group. So yeah, gatekeeping information even goes on in local communities, and information he's talking about right there is Pokemon scanners. So how do you fix this? Well, at this point, there's probably not any fixing all of it, but here's what we can do to pretty much raise the skill ceiling of the game. So the first thing that would help is implementing a Show 6 pick-free format like what they use in Worlds and Championships that are in person and whatnot for Play Pokemon Go Battle League. Even with this, it would still be pretty luck-based, but it would at least make it to where you're not guaranteed to lose a match as soon as you go into it. Secondly is adding in abilities to the game. Adding in abilities will be another thing to help raise the skill ceiling, and it would also help counteract like what the algorithm does. I mean, the algorithm shouldn't be a thing in the first place, but yeah, it would help to counteract that. And another thing that would help to counteract that a little bit is also a second fast move on each Pokemon. So what I just said is about the most you can do to raise the skill ceiling, other than completely overhauling the Go Battle League system. You could add in some new stats and stuff. Like, I think it would be really interesting if they added in a speed stat. That would help stuff a lot. Whether that affects the amount of energy you generate per fast move or how fast you use a fast move, it would still help. And by completely overhauling the Go Battle League system, I mean making some major changes to like the complete format and everything, like how many Pokemon you use, or literally just sacking the whole system and making it into what main series Pokemon is. But I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, the only way that you would be able to get Niantic to make a Show 6 pick free format or really do anything that would raise the skill ceiling significantly is probably to just talk to Game Freak, bring it up to Game Freak, and have Game Freak remove Niantic's license. That would like completely get rid of Niantic's rights to Pokemon product. And honestly, that would be a very good thing for the game, because if you people that play main series Pokemon think that Game Freak is bad, yeah, Niantic makes... Oh my god, Niantic is infinitely worse than Game Freak, you don't even know. At least Game Freak actually gives a shit about the Pokemon brand and their games. Niantic literally just uses Pokemon as a data collecting tool, and nothing other for that. They don't care who they hurt at their expense. They only care about what's in their best interest. Sorry for the audio being really scuffy and stuff for this part, but yeah, Niantic is probably never going to do anything. Like, anybody that thought about another Heroes Niantic or something, like, motherfucker, that's already failed like 3 times. That is not going to work now. The only thing that will work is getting Pokemon Go under new management. So in conclusion, the algorithm is definitely real. There's probably a 95% chance that it's real. If COD has these patents and shit, then it's certainly possible that Pokemon Go can do the same. And the only reason it hasn't been proven in Pokemon Go is because they haven't had any patents, documents, or code that's been released. The algorithm is so fucked up how it works too. It deceives you into thinking that you're the problem and that your Pokemon are the problem too, and it makes you just go out and get better Pokemon, even if Pokemon might not be the problem, even though your skill level isn't the problem. It's just so fucked. Like, that's why EOMM is so bad. And for the content creators, that shit is just awful. I mean, I don't know why any of them have any support, really. Because they really shouldn't. They don't deserve it at all. The only person who does is PokeAK. And also, pretty much anybody that makes Pokemon Go content makes bad content. Like, I've looked for somebody other than PokeAK who makes good content out there. It doesn't exist, I'll just tell you that. All these YouTubers just have their clickbait bullshit all the time. Like, all of these are the best rank counters to Terrakion, but literally anything water or ground with stab does a perfect job of that. There's a couple other things too, but you know, I mean, it's just a basic understanding of Pokemon would lead you to knowing what the counters are for literally every raid boss. These content creators, that's all they do. It's just a bunch of unoriginal bullshit. None of these content creators do any more of that, and all of their content is boring. And there's a good bit of people that hate on PokeAK and shit. So anyway, that pretty much does it. I'm normally not like this in my videos, like this bland and stuff, but this is the most pissed I've been about a topic that I've covered, or really I just try to make entertaining content, not cover topics for the most part, so that's why I'm more like this in this video, and I'm also just really pissed off with this shit that I've covered and how long it's went on for. It needs to stop, and I hope this video can spread some light on it. So, yeah, I'm gonna be pretty pissed if it doesn't get very many views, which I say there's probably a good chance of that, but you know what? I won't bet against it. And if this does get any views, feel free to leave any questions in the comments, and I'll answer them as long as there's not an absolute shitload. By that, I mean, if there's a lot of comments, I won't answer, like, a ton of them. Anyway, I'm out, y'all. If you're one of those pussy-ass content creators and you're watching this, please just do better, man. And anyway, have a good one, y'all, and peace.